Hi guys, finally we are live. We're about to do a review of Connekt. My name is Kenneth Nyangwe, and if you're watching me for the very first time, please do like and subscribe the Kenneth Nyangwe Insights page on Facebook, as well as YouTube, where I will share various interviews, information in the business world, and a lot of data relating to entrepreneurship as we encourage the entrepreneur mentality and culture. Okay, so I'll just take a few minutes, do a bit of housekeeping. If you're new to the page, please do subscribe. Click the subscribe, the thumbs up, and the subscribe on the YouTube page. And also do share this conversation with your friends, okay, on your timeline. That will equally help more people get interactive with us. If you have something that you'd like to share, any comments that you want to make while we're having these conversations, by all means, do post, ask whatever questions that you want to ask. This conversation basically is about reviewing the Connekt event that took place on Saturday in Solwezi, where a lot of young entrepreneurs who are in business were pitching to the judges, myself, Brenda, and Mukuka from the Chamber of Commerce, and Brenda from BBM, for a 30,000 kwacha boost into their business idea. Now, the Connekt is an event that has been happening at least for the last maybe 3 times so far. This was the second one, so we should expect another one maybe in December. So it's important for you to know exactly what people who you're pitching to are actually looking for, especially when it comes to investment. Okay, like I said, please do feel free to share this video with as many people as you can. Share it on your timeline so we have as many people. If you'd like to leave me a comment, please do so. Ask any question, it'll pop up right here on the live feed, and I'll be able to answer those questions. Today we're speaking to business people, people who would like to become entrepreneurs, or people who are already entrepreneurs. Maybe you want to seek funding from a funding institution. What are the key pointers that you need to look out for? When we did Connekt, I noticed quite a number of things that the young entrepreneurs were making. Some of them were mistakes, some of them were actually good and excellent things that they were doing. And it's a step in the right direction for us as Zambia. Step in the right direction. We're doing something positive. Like I said, if you want to leave a comment, go ahead, by all means. I will be able to respond to any question that you may have at this particular point. If you're an entrepreneur, this is the time to speak to the man that will be able to give you advice and solutions relating to your entrepreneur journey. And if you've never undertaken this journey before, it's fine. There's always a starting point. You always start from where you are standing. Okay, so like I said, do share this on your timeline. Do share this on your feed, so as many people as possible can catch this information. Please do share. Feel free, do share. Otherwise, we're going to get into the Connekt review. I was very humbled to be asked to judge a second time. The first time we did it was about 3 months ago, and the winner was Luinda Weston from Winilunga. He basically pitched a very brilliant idea, which basically started from his pitch started by him explaining how he sold a cow that was in his inheritance from his father. Okay, and he sold that cow and invested in broiler chickens. He started with about 200, and I think the figure's actually gone up. At the time that he came to the Connekt, he was looking at satisfying the demand of broiler chickens in Mwinilunga area. His plan included covering the boarding schools, the business community, and the Afla flanking areas like Kaleni, Kalenge, and he is even looking to export. So after that, we did mentorship. I was the one that ran him through a 2 weeks program of mentoring Weston to a point where he actually now has a formally registered business. It's actually a farm, you know. So he is now registered with the Register of Companies, as well as the tax obligations with the Revenue Authority, and he is looking to expand his business even bigger, because apart on his value propositions, among the things that he said that were unique was the fact that he wasn't just doing broilers anymore. He had even invested in a smoker. So he had already started a value addition. Now, those are things that a judge or a funder would like to hear when you're explaining your business. Now, I will share with you guys some of the challenges that most people face when they are explaining their business idea. Most of us need to realize that when we're starting, your business is supposed to be a solution. Okay, now I'll try to be as basic with my English as possible so that the principle of the grandmother test can actually apply. What we are saying, or what I am saying right now, is that when you're starting your business or when you have your business idea, make sure, okay, you go into a business not because you're trying to make money. That is a wrong motive. It's one of the weakest motives you can ever go into with, and that's why people get desperate in the beginning and they give up. The best approach for going into business is that you need to meet the needs of the customers. You need to meet the needs of the customers. Very important. Because when you don't have the need of the customer in your framework, you will build your business wrongly, such that it'll only be you will only be talking about your self-interests. And most people cannot relate to our self-interest. They look at the challenges that they're facing. For instance, when Western was pitching that broiler chickens are rarely found in a place like Manilunga, so when he started, he was trying to address that particular issue. That is being specific, and it's true. When you go to places like Manilunga, before a few years ago, you eat what is called a village chicken, and you know the characteristics of that chicken when it's cooked. It's usually hard, and he was able to address that as a challenge. Now, what you need to realize that 90% of most of the business ideas that people actually have that they put on paper, business plans, are usually rejected. These business ideas are usually rejected by funders. And usually, right at the beginning, on the executive summary, what people would have actually given up on your business idea. So it's important that right from the onset, you are showing what the problem is, how you're going to solve it, and how you're going to make money while you're doing just that. Those are the main ingredients. Now, one of the things that I also observed that most people who are pitching fail to explain is the team that they will have to be able to solve this particular problem. And it's very important. You may not employ, but if you're not experienced enough, you should be able to show that you have an advisory body or people on your board that can advise you, that are advisory, to make sure that you sort that out. The next step, which is usually one of the critical points, is the financials, the numbers, whether the numbers actually make sense. And you also have to show how you're going to pay yourself. Now, what's funny is that most entrepreneurs will say they want money, but they fail to explain how they're going to pay themselves when they're raising this money that they want for the investment. And usually that's where the problem is. You find that your pitch is all about the monies that are being mentioned, but you're not explaining the size of the problem, how you're going to solve it, and how that particular money you have will contribute to making that your business plan a success. And usually that's where most people fail, and that's where the challenges come in, because we speak so much of ourselves and what a challenge we have. It's understandable that most of us go into business because of lack of employment, because of lack of opportunities, and then we've created an opportunity. But within that opportunity, there is something called a solution that ideally we should be able to ensure that we secure. Remember, your business idea should be as good in your explanation, good enough for your grandmother to be able to understand. So meaning, get rid of all that amazing big English, the big words. Those, they really don't matter. What matters is, can I understand that this is the problem that you're putting on you've put on the table? This is the solution. This is the team that is going to sort it out. Here are the financials of how it's going to be done, and this is the money that's going to be made. Most investors look to see if there will be a 30% at least return on investment on a yearly basis. What we like doing when we're pitching is explaining that we're going to be very successful from day one once we're given the money, which is not necessarily true. And that's why you find that some businesses, when they start up, what they normally do is raise enough money to start, but they don't have enough money to actually run the business. And that's where challenges now start popping up. For instance, you set up a restaurant, all you did was buy the basics, okay? You buy the basics, the washers, you pay the rent for 6 months, you bought the stock, you opened your doors, but you don't have money for advertising. You have not promoted the business, and all of a sudden your cash flows start to struggle. And next to that, you start having challenges now with the stock that is getting damaged because people are not eating. So you start losing money very quickly. So when you're pitching your business, it's very important for that to be clear. Now, when we look at Connekt, there are quite a number of people who pitched. We had some brilliant people. One of the first person that pitched was Silungwe, who was talking about what you call the red gold. Very amazing businessman, and he pitched properly when it comes to the size of the problem, and the demand. And he basically used Soweto and various other markets, Kasumbalesa. He showed the waste of tomato that is there. Then he started explaining how the value addition will be done. By the way, tomato paste is a very simple recipe. It's just a question of being able to buy the machinery to be able to process that. So very beautiful, brilliant pitch. And thank you very much, Kelvin Snyangwe. Okay, thank you very much for your comment. Yeah, keep following. This is important. You can also leave your comments, and people will be able to see your comments. He pitched, and where the challenge was with his pitch, basically was the argument that the other judges put up was the delivery time, okay, of his solution, and also him not necessarily explaining in detail how the 30,000 kwacha would be implemented in order for the red gold, to actually be put up. The other lady that pitched, I'll need to look at the documents to remember the name. She runs an NGO, and for starters, she said she was not an entrepreneur. But guess what? That NGO has been helping the youth in the community and in the airport area. And one of the biggest challenges she has is sustaining it in terms of running costs. Now, guys, when you're pitching, don't pitch from a place of weakness. You have to pitch from a place of strength. When you go to people showing you weaknesses, and normally most of us do that even when it's a job. You go to a job interview hoping that when you explain to your possible employers how vulnerable you are, how you're suffering, that they'll feel sorry for you and give you the job. No. One thing you need to realize, they're not interested in bringing problems into their business. So when you go from a vulnerable point of view, it makes you very vulnerable. Now, most NGOs in Zambia operate on the principle of vulnerability. What NGOs need to start doing, and that's why there's been a challenge, is creating sustainability. Now, that particular project, I'll be honest enough, they were able to explain how they diversified in order for them to start creating sustainability. They received some funding, which they basically used to start some businesses. They started some businesses, and I want to see if I can pull the document that I used to look at the project. Okay, where are we? Okay, so with the gold one, we're looking at over 21 million tons of tomato production in 2019. So the game changer is being able to throw in the processing capabilities. Okay, now I'm trying to pull out that document, nonetheless. So she was able to receive about 50,000 kwacha, which from an entrepreneur point of view, they were able to secure a piece of land and acquire some some support in terms of equipment that they will use to put on their academy. You see, at the end of the day, she ended up on the entrepreneur side. What she needed is to be able to say, this is the product that we're selling, this is the problem we're solving in the community, and this is the money we will get back, because that is very critical. If you can explain that, anyone who's supporting you will find it easy to support you. The other gentleman that we had was the engineer, okay, who was basically discussing two things. Kenneth Kakenge. He was discussing two things. He was looking at his engineering abilities and his ability to make door frames. The only challenge he had was he never had grips on the market. In other words, he never had orders that he could show. He never had cash flow examples. Now this is something most of you guys need to realize when you're pitching. You have to have some form of evidence that shows that you've attempted to do something. Okay, so for example, if you want to be a tomato supplier, you must show that at some point you were able to order tomatoes and actually retail it, maybe just even a crate. If you have that level of experience and you've shown that you were able to do it, it becomes easier for people to believe you going forward, that you're capable of doing what you're doing. So in other words, show proof when you're explaining your solution. Show proof, at least minimum proof, that what you're saying you've actually done. Now, this is what Natasha did pretty well. When Natasha was explaining to us that she had even implemented that sack, she's the one that won the 30,000 kwacha. She had actually shown a picture of a woman, all right, that made us even realize that A lot of married women out there who are not doing much can actually turn their backyards into farms because in that sack they can make that mixture that will make sure that whatever they produce will be high yield and very good quality. After spending time with the Z farmer, Maria Zulumis, I realized that farming is not as easy as people think. It's not just a question of having sand at the back of your house and you start farming. There are things you have to get into a serious relationship with the plants. You need to understand them. Sometimes the plants actually get stressed. You have to understand stress management of those plants. You have to understand what fertilizers to use. You have to understand a lot of things, even climate. She's as detailed as being able to understand the wind speed of that particular day, know what time to spray and when not to spray. It's deep. So you understand you cannot be in an investment and be absent at the same time. You will just lose money. Uh, so Natasha was basically able to explain the solution. The only challenge with Natasha was that she didn't know exactly what business she was in. She referred to her business as smart farming, right? Which we totally agree. But what she didn't understand exactly was the bag that she's creating. Okay, the bag that she's creating. Thank you, Boyd. I can see you here and present. All right, another entrepreneur. Okay, so the bag that she's creating is a solution for every single household. That even when you've paved your yard, you can buy that sack. She'll train you on how to make the soil mixture with the fertilizer, the manure, and then you can plant your vegetables. And that's the lady that won the 30,000. Okay, so we had our gentleman, the ginger man. He came a second time. What we would have loved to hear from him was evidence of him having attempted to produce ginger and tell us the numbers and from his last pitch what he has done so far, because he's got a very brilliant project, but he needs to show us proof at least that from the last engagement he's been able to produce so much, and in order to get to the next level of production he will need X amount, and then on top of that the market has he tied down deals. Like if there's one thing that I'll be honest with you, it's a problem when you want to start to solve a problem that really doesn't have a problem. That's why it's important for you to have what we call a unique value proposition. Now, what does that unique value proposition say? It explains what you're going to do different from competition and why people should pick your product. Like I said, don't pitch because you think you're vulnerable enough or you think the business idea is good enough. Pitch because there's a problem and there's a number of people that need that solution. And when you know who they are, you'll be able to understand. So, for instance, if you know that people buy ginger from the market roadside, which is true, like Kitwe, when you get into Kitwe, you find nice, clean ginger roadside at the bus station. So you speak to those people and understand what they need and see how you can be able to service them. Okay, and then when you explain from that point of view, it becomes extremely easy. Next to that is traction. You should be able to show traction, show proof of what you've done, even in the simplest of ways. Very important. Again, I'll emphasize this. Most of these guys were speaking in their individual capacities. They never showed the team that they're working with, the expertise that are behind their project, and for us to be able to trust which team was capable of delivering. The only thing that we heard from, for instance, Natasha was some management ability of sowing those sacks that she's making, okay, for farming, which showed that she has control and she has a management team. And she said she wanted to employ some more people by buying additional sewing machines, maybe two more, to be able to increase the number of sacks. What we would like to see is for her to be able to tie into a deal where she can sell these sacks in the chain stores, okay, so that she has an order. Yeah, through the mentorship, those are some of the things that we'll probably look into. Now, like we say, when you pitch, pitch to get results, okay, and your results have to be clear. You're pitching because you want to get results. You're not pitching because you want to entertain the judges or the funders. That's not what it's about. You're pitching because there's a problem and you're trying to solve that particular problem. Very important, guys. I'll probably end here, okay, because I think I don't want to take too much of your time. I think from an analytical point of view, we have done justice. But I would like to say this and make it very clear that this particular review was sponsored by Glam Republic and Garage on Wheels. So before we go, I will take a quick break, right, and just pay homage to our sponsors, and then we'll be back and wrap up this conversation. So right. So thank you very much to our sponsors, Glam Republic and Garage and Wheels, for making sure that this is actually possible so we can give you more and more of this content. Please like, share the information. If you have any questions, by all means, do share and I shall answer. Okay, so Kelvin Sinyangwa, thank you very much. Boyd Williams, equally, thank you very much for taking time out to learn one or two things. It's very important because we need our people to change their mindset when it comes to pitching. Pitch because you're providing a solution for a person. Don't pitch because you're trying to provide a solution to yourself. When your solution is personal, and that's why one of the things I noticed, none of the people who pitch explain how much they intend to pay themselves, especially when we start looking at the financial aspect of what their business will be about. Okay, your cash flows need to show how you're going to pay yourself, how you're going to pay the investors, if at all you're getting into a situation where the investors need to get their money back. When you're explaining to them that, it helps them have a sense of comfort. What normally happens is when you're pitching a business based on your individual capacity, you're actually telling people they'll give you the money, and very little accountability is being shown, then it becomes very difficult for you to be trusted. Most important, like I said, understand your financials, very important. Once you do that, it becomes very easy for your business to succeed. So, in conclusion, when you start your executive summary, tell a very nice story about your business idea. Start with the problem, tell the story behind it, give examples of where that problem actually is, show proof of how you're going to solve it, okay, using your solution. That's a recap. Then show the uniqueness in how you're going to do it. Make sure you've done a market research where you understand what the competition is already doing and what you intend to do different. The biggest mistake is that we all start by saying we want to be Mark Zuckerberg, we want to be Donald Trump, we want to be Dangote rich, we want to be like ShopRite. When these guys set up, they never said they wanted to be like ShopRite because they were not big at all. They just started and said, you know what, we need to feed people in various areas and supply commodity to them. So how do we do it? Dangote started the same. How can I bring rice, cement, and all these things? Then in the process, he started growing the size of his business. And now he's got a So if you one day you be convincing other people yourself properly, and you need to explain yourself properly and clearly. Okay, very important. You need to explain yourself properly and clearly so that the people um, who are investing with you will be able to understand exactly how you're going to give them their money back. Guys, thank you very much. As I leave, I would like to one more time say thank you to our sponsors. Otherwise, catch me on Money Chat. I will probably hook you up with the person we're interviewing. This week, we've been talking about edible oils. So I've got a very special guest for you guys tomorrow, Friday, and I'll share the details. I also have some surprise guests for other Money Chat interviews that we'll be doing for you guys. All right. So we're going to cramp them up. We're going to cramp them up. So there's some big names that are going to come up that will feature on our lovely live interaction. Thank you guys, and until next time. So let's just say thank you to our sponsors one more time as we exit this live feed.